Did you know that you can decipher other people's thoughts using just 3 simple strategies? Let's take a look at what these strategies are and how to apply them. These skills are essential to overcoming any circumstance, as mastering them makes interpreting and understanding another's thoughts much easier. Let's look at a Stoic-themed story that illustrates how to decipher other people's thoughts. Be sure to watch this video to the end, give it a like, and share this video with your friends. Also, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other helpful videos. Let's get started. The story unfolds like this. In an ancient village lived 2 brothers. The older one was blind and spent most of his time at home, while the younger one practiced farming. Often, they found their field being ravaged by wild animals. The younger brother, concerned about this situation, finally came up with a solution. He thought, why not ask my blind brother for help in scaring the animals away from the field? He could be in the midst of the crops and alert upon hearing any sound of animals, thus protecting our crops. After some thought, the younger brother built a small hut in the field and moved his older brother there, explaining, "Brother, if you hear any suspicious noise, just shout and scare the animals away. It will save our crops." The older brother agreed to the suggestion and began to fulfill his role in the field. Every time he heard animal noises, he would let out a shout to scare them away. And so it went on for several days. One day a deer quickly crossed the field, damaging part of the fence before running away. Shortly thereafter, the king arrived on the scene in pursuit of the deer. The monarch turned to his blind brother and asked if he had seen the deer pass by. The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind. How could I have seen the deer? However, I can assure you that the creature that escaped from my field is not worth your hunting. You are wasting your efforts." The monarch was stunned by the blind brother's statements and questioned him about his knowledge. He had doubts whether the blind brother was telling the truth, for in spite of his blindness, he had expressed an opinion about the importance of the deer. To this, the blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, the creature you are pursuing is actually a pregnant fawn. I don't recall a monarch ever pursuing a pregnant deer. Therefore, I believe your diligence is futile, and it is not worth wasting your efforts on her." The king was astonished to hear this, and could not understand how a blind man could determine the condition of a fawn. He wondered how a man without sight could be so sure. Driven by a desire to be sure, he ordered his commander, "Commander, capture this animal alive. I need to check if she is really pregnant. The blind brother seems very convinced, and I need to investigate this. Please go and confirm her condition." The commander received the king's orders and set off. When he returned, he confirmed to the king that the blind brother was right, and that the fawn was indeed pregnant. The king, full of amazement, could not understand how the blind man knew that the fawn was pregnant. He wondered how the blind man could know this, how he could be so sure. Questioning the blind brother to clear up the mystery, the king said, "I may doubt that you are truly blind, but I have come to ask you a question. Are you willing to give me a truthful answer?" To this, the blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, ask anything, and I will answer with complete sincerity." The monarch said, "You are a man of outstanding insight and seem to have a deep understanding of various matters. I summoned you today to find out if my consort is cheating on me." The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, what made you ask such a question? Your union has been long-lasting for many years. So why do such doubts arise in your mind now?" However, the king insisted, declaring, "You must answer this question or you will face the death penalty." Before the monarch's threat, the blind brother expressed, "Your Majesty, in order to give you the answer you seek, I need you to grant one request of mine." The king asked, "What is it about?" The blind brother replied, For that, I need to be alone with your wife in a room." At first, the king was displeased with this proposal, but finally agreed and ordered his commander to leave the blind brother and the queen alone in the room. At this point, the blind brother expressed his intention to make physical contact with the queen. The queen reacted with anger to such a statement and attacked the blind brother with violence, using her limbs and all of her strength. After the conflict, the blind man was able to escape and appeared before the king. The blind brother then informed the king, "Your Majesty, your wife is not faithful to you." Enraged, the king drew his sword and marched towards the queen, warning that any lie would result in her execution. The question was about the queen's fidelity, to which she replied, "Your Majesty, you may take my life, but I have not been faithful." The king felt relieved that the blind brother's words were true. When he heard this, he quickly approached the blind brother and asked him how he knew about his wife's adultery. The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, it was very simple. I mentioned to your wife my desire to touch her, and her reaction was so furious that she started attacking me. Instead of rejecting, she chose violence, touching me in the process. Now tell me, how can a woman be faithful who reacts this way?" Impressed by the blind man's insight, the king exclaimed, "Your insight is admirable. Let's continue. Give the correct answer to the other question, and you will be set free," the king asked. "Tell me, am I really the son of my father or of another man?" To which the blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, why do you care about such a question? The origin of your parents is irrelevant. You are the lord of this land. Let such a concern dissolve." However, the king insisted, "No, I need a specific answer. Otherwise, doubt will consume me. I want to know the truth." The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I can reveal your lineage to you right now, but first I need your promise that you will not react with anger." The king assured, "I promise not to be angry with you." Then the blind brother revealed, "You are indeed your father's son, but you were also influenced by a greedy merchant." Hearing this, the king immediately turned to his mother and asked, "Mother, please tell me the truth. Am I really my father's son or another? If you don't tell me, I will renounce my existence right here." The king's mother replied, "Son, you are indeed your father's descendant, but you are also under the influence of a greedy merchant." The relieved king immediately returned to his blind brother and asked, "How did you know I was influenced by the greedy merchant?" The blind man replied, "Your Majesty, I have answered many of your questions correctly, but I still have not received any reward. From this, I have concluded that you are prone to greed." The king laughed and said, "What you ask for will be given to you, but explain how you distinguish right from wrong. How can you give such precise answers?" The blind brother said, "Your Majesty, my blindness is congenital. If I had sight, I could easily understand other people's thoughts. The mind has its own language reflected in bodily movements. By observing eyes, lips, and gestures, one can understand what is going on in a person's mind. But being blind, I perceive through actions. To understand something, I set a person a task, and based on its performance, I understand what is going on in his mind." The king asked, "Then I too can understand the thoughts of others?" To which the blind brother replied, "No doubt you too can discern the thoughts of others, but first you must work on yourself. This work involves quieting your mind and focusing on the present. To do this, today I'm going to show you 3 simple and accessible methods. First of all, put a like and subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. We have a lot of wisdom for you. Moving on. Eyes and body expressions are the messengers of these emotions. In moments of sadness, they reflect that feeling, while a hearty laugh that makes the eyes light up and lifts the cheeks signifies happiness, goodwill, and generosity. Eyes play a key role. When they squint and sparkle, you can trust that the joy is genuine. Also, pay attention to the area between the eyebrows where wrinkles form under tension, often expressing confusion, intense reflection, or an effort to understand something complex. Your Majesty's second technique is to observe non-verbal language. The body and hands can convey much without words, creating a secret language that expresses desire and feeling through subtle gestures. Imagine someone drumming their fingers or creating a repetitive sound by tapping for some reason while talking to you. This could indicate boredom, hurry, or a desire to end the conversation. I remember once when I met someone who was very interested in selling me something. His fingers were tapping rapidly on the item, indicating his disinterest or anxiety to end our conversation. In contrast, a person who remains still and adopts a relaxed stance shows attention and concern. This behavior reflects genuine interest and a desire to listen more. I remember my insightful teacher often adopting this posture, even though he was calm. He was leaning in with interest, showing his desire to go deeper into the discussion. People who constantly manipulate their face during conversation can give you clues about their thoughts. These gestures often indicate anxiety, intense thought, or discomfort. Also, hand movements can reveal a lot. For example, if someone quickly touches their nose while talking, it may suggest that they are lying or not being completely honest. Paying attention to how they react to our words and understanding what is going on in their minds can help interpret their thoughts. However, before proceeding further, it is crucial to focus your attention on the present. This is the only way you will be able to observe all of these behaviors, interpret them, and understand what is going on in the other person's mind. If you get stuck thinking about the past or worrying about the future, you will never be able to grasp the body language of the other person and therefore will not understand their thoughts. Now, Your Majesty, let's move on to the third technique. Before I reveal it, it is important that you focus your mind. By directing our attention to the present moment, we can understand the thoughts of others, especially when they are also focused on the here and now. It is important to move our minds to the present to catch their thoughts. Continuing with the third technique, the blind brother said, "King, to understand someone's thoughts, observe their voice." The voice can give away a lot about what a person is thinking and feeling. Fast and disorganized speech can indicate nervousness, anxiety, or agitation. On the other hand, someone who speaks slowly and relaxed is probably calm and collected. In addition, pay attention to the tone of voice. A loud and shrill tone may express anger or frustration, while a soft and calm tone suggests peace and relaxation. I remember talking to someone who claimed to be happy, but his voice was strained and loud. This contradiction raised doubts about his true joy. The voice can also express emotion, as in cases of sighs, screams, or hearty laughter. By paying attention to how they articulate words and use tone, you can easily understand their thoughts and feelings. So there you have it, Your Majesty. Those are the three techniques I've shared today. Observe the person's eyes, body language, and voice. Focus on these three aspects and you will easily understand the thoughts of any person. However, remember that you must first focus your mind on the present. Only in this way will you be able to observe, interpret, and perceive what is going on in another person's mind. In this way, you will be able to recognize their thoughts and enrich your existence. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you find these tips valuable. Please write in the comments what country you are from. Until next time.